Hey.
We're live. One second. Ah, we're live. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Also, Ray, I let you talk.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Hello. I let you talk and introduce.
Oh, am I? Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful.
Yes, you do it. While
yeah.
I do.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live stream.
Welcome.
Hey, so my name is Ray, if you don't know me already. I am one of the content creators here on this channel, like the other two people, lovely, beautiful faces you see here.
Hi.
And today, like every first Saturday of every month, we hold the Polyglots Talk, where we discuss topics relevant to polyglots and also just language lovers in general. And we have this conversation, including you guys, while following the flow of the comments and answering any questions that you may have. So all of us here are some form of multilingual polyglots. So we have a lot of experience, very different experience that we can add to the table to have you give you a little bit of perspective on language learning, living abroad, all sorts of things. So that's what this is about. And thank you so much, you guys, for joining for the first time here today. I see 14 people watching, which is really exciting. Michelle, hey. Tanya, hi. Lucas, yes, we loved the jazz at the beginning there. Hello. Yes, so today is exciting. We're going to be talking about balancing multiple languages or studying multiple languages at the same time. And this is always the big question, right? I feel like this is the most common question that we get.
Can I?
Yes.
Sorry, I am going to interrupt 1 second because I heard the sound, but I didn't have the overlay. But Eloise just bought us a coffee, and I just wanted to say thank you very much for supporting us. Oh, sorry about this.
So much.
Thank you very much, because for us it means a lot, of course, to not
Really
only
does.
it's not about the money, it's more about making sure that we're doing something that is helping people, that is something that people appreciate, and that means very much a lot. We believe a lot in Gladly Global, and we're happy that people respond positively to it. And for the people that don't know what I'm talking about, you can support us on a website called Ko-fi. You can see the link in the overlay of this stream, and if you're nice enough to support us, we're gonna be grateful. Thank you very much, Eloise, again. Yes.
Yes, and so you can also, on the Ko-fi page, you can also check out the Polyglot magazine. So that's actually our main thing right now, what we're working on the hardest. But it is 40 pages of pure language joy, all sorts of articles and original art, as well as worksheets, printables, and in-depth articles to do with language learning and culture based in SLA science. So there's a lot of so much gold in that magazine, and we're working harder every day to make it better and better each time. So this time is issue 5, so you already know that we've gone through lots of transformation to make it really nice for you guys. So if you haven't gotten it already, what are you doing? You should go and check it out right
After
now.
the stream.
After the stream. Well, you can open the time same time, we'll see.
Lol. Yeah, we're already working on the new issue, by the way, just so you know. It's gonna be lit. Even later. Can you say litier? Litier. Alright, sorry. After all of this...
yeah, is fake.
Yeah, sorry, Ray, you were introducing today's
Grammar is a
topic.
man-made construct.
Yes. Well, I already kind of introduced it, but yes, we're going to be talking about learning multiple languages at the same time. And go ahead and leave us a comment if you have some thoughts or questions about learning multiple languages at the same time. Some struggles that you may have, so that we can discuss them here. But I will start off by saying that I find the biggest struggle is finding a good balance where you don't end up confusing yourself, or kind of like, because there's something that happens to me. Say, like, if I don't watch a certain amount of TV or immerse myself in a certain amount in that language, then it becomes less accessible to me. So whether or not I know the words, I feel uncomfortable using the words, or I don't have a certain flow, and the grammar it's not at the tip of my fingers, if you know what I mean.
I do.
So if I stop watching TV, but if I'm watching 2 different languages at the same time, right, or 3 or 4, then I don't get the same kind of strength, support for the way that like my speaking skill, or like my mental stability in that language, if we can call it that. So how do we like deal with that? How do we balance doing that?
Yeah.
What do we have any thoughts, friends?
I want to ask.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Anna.
I wanted to ask the people that are watching at the moment if you have any experience learning multiple languages, first of all, like at the same time. Just like write in the chat what is your experience with this. Like for me, I honestly, can I say something, Ray? Because your native language is English, though. But for people that their native language is not English, I am constantly like learning multiple languages at the same time, because it's not on like, once I've learned English and I started learning something else, I still kept on speaking English, like using English in my daily life, etc. So that is even like you're forced to do that, but that is learning multiple languages at the same time. So if you have an experience with that as well, don't think that English doesn't count, because it counts if you're not native.
Good point.
Right.
That's so true. It's so many people.
Yeah. Go on.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just saying, so many people look down on, or not look down, but
take
kind
for
of like,
granted.
Yeah, take English for granted and brush it to the wayside, as if it's not a huge achievement to be able to speak and kind of live your life. Because so many people in the community, their English isn't perfect, but they're doing all of their content and actively doing everything in English online, or using English for a big percentage stage of their life, because of the way that society or our community is structured, which is so amazing, so amazing.
It really is. Good job, everyone who like.
Good job, Anna and Elmo.
Ooh.
Not me.
Yeah, because I have
Just
this
nearest
feeling.
pot in here.
Yeah, no, I have a feeling that in the polyglot community, English is considered kind of like must-know language. So like everybody doesn't count it as a language to learn. But honestly, like I'm not like it's not. It's still a foreign language for all of us, right? So I remember like even when I was abroad and like since I was from Europe, people would expect, or maybe because I'm white, I don't know, but like people would expect that I would know English. I mean, when you're in Asia, it's more like when you look Western, then you know English. And it's like a lot of people like would tell me, oh my god, but you speak English so good, like it's normal because you come from Europe, right? And I'm like, no, it's not normal, right? That's something that I spent a lot of time practicing and you know exercising, so I'm not gonna just brush it off just being like I'm European, so it's normal to know English, right? Sorry, I want to read. Go on, Emerton.
No, that's such a good point that, like, even though a majority of non-native English speakers are use English very well and a lot in their daily lives, especially Europeans, I think, since, I mean, at least I started learning English when I was like 6 or 7, and that was a good many years ago, and it's almost crazy to think about how. So at the same time, it's not like we automatically learn English just because we're born in Europe. It still takes years and years of actual like practice and studying to get to that level where you're comfortable in using it for things that you would like otherwise be reserved for like your native language. And then at the same time we just push it to the wayside. It's like tools, and it's like obvious that we should.
I mean, the fact that you know, English speakers, we also learn a second language from quite young. You know, maybe not 6 or 7, but like maybe 9 or 10. Right. But most native English speakers cannot speak a second language, which is just proof that you know, there is a double standard in the way that we treat English studies and other things in general. And just as I think Lucas said a bit ago, Tanya said that yes, I learn almost all languages through English, which is my second language. Right. And it's crazy because I talk about this a lot in a Jamaican context, because Jamaicans are inherently bilingual because they use Jamaican at home and then use English at school or workplace usually. But there are some people who are born in English-speaking households, like me, and some people who are born in Jamaican-speaking households originally. And nobody talks about the disadvantage that Jamaican-speaking households go through, because they're just thrown into school and we have to just pretend that they speak English fluently already, and whereas an English speaker already speaks English and then has a slight edge over other students. You know, to think how much there's another gap that you're closing when you're using a second language to study another language, although it can be an advantage as well. You know, language stacking, as it's called, is great for maintaining languages while learning a new one. But all of this is to say that those of you who are using English and your other language are absolutely impressive, and you need to remind yourself that sometimes.
Yes, and I wanted to add to that we spoke about this other times, I think, but learning a foreign language, comparing it to another foreign language that you already know, it's Yes, brilliant. Keep doing it. Amazing. And that doesn't mean
Yes,
that it always
it's
has.
one of the best strategies.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that it always have to be from English. Like, as I said, other times I'm studying Korean from Japanese and also Mandarin from Japanese because those are closer. It just makes sense, of course. So like, you know, like you need to use this to your advantage at all times. To be like, it's not like boxes that you just put. Okay, this is Swedish box, this is Spanish box, this is Japanese box. It's like everything is interconnected and everything makes you who you are. So like, yes, keep doing it. I love yes, I love when people like came up with these things. I'm sorry.
Yes, no. Actually, today I'm going to be posting about all the different languages or cultures in general that have affected my personality and the way that I talk. I mean, it's not super in depth, but it's just the idea that we should start talking about backgrounds and personal culture in a more varied way, I believe. So we should stop summing people up in a single word or in a single country, because especially nowadays there are so many different things that influences someone's perspective. And if we open our mindset with the way that we use words, the words are important. I mean, as polyglots and as language lovers, I think we can all agree that expression and nuance and the way we use words can completely change the way you view and act around something. So surely.
Yes, we're all on the same page for this.
Amazing.
I know we need to talk about resources. Yeah. Well, we answered most. By the way, yes, Michelle. Let's speak about resources for Korean. It's not my main language at the moment. I'm concentrating on Swedish and Japanese. I want to get that N1 JLPT certificate this year. But yeah, for sure, it's there on the back. It's going on a little bit, so for sure. And I wanted to address something else that Tanya said, honestly, because it's like the biggest struggle with learning multiple languages is learning next to the job and maybe having other obligations. So the thing is, I guess it's the issue of time more than concentration or motivation or these kind of things. So I don't know, Ray, if you want to say something about this. I have something to say, but
I think we all have something to say.
Yeah, sure, I can start. Yeah, being busy is difficult. I'm actually doing a series on theming days and timeframes right now on my personal account and Instagram account at @RayC. And one of the things that this helps me with is grouping certain tasks together. And like I mentioned at the beginning, that I think that one of the difficult parts about learning multiple languages at once is that if you only have a certain amount of time and then you study one but you don't study the other, or you study two at the same time, or you do half an hour of one and half an hour of another, it's a little bit kind of almost canceling out the progress sometimes, and can be a little bit difficult to find a good footing for how you study languages. So with theming, what you do is you decide, okay, so this evening I'm going to be focusing on this, or I'm going to be doing this, and you choose one thing. And as restricting as that sounds, because usually, but the truth is that we overestimate how long it takes for something to happen and for something to take root. If we're actually going to study something and retain something enough so that it doesn't get muddled in the other one or like blurred into the other one, we have to actually dedicate some time to it, an hour, 2 hours, something like that, or at least give it some space away from something else. Right. So even if it's short, like you have time for half an hour, you don't want to immediately do 20 minutes of the other language right after, because you won't have a strong rooting in that information that you were just thinking about, learning about. So that's what I personally do. If I'm gonna have a Mandarin time, it's Mandarin time, and if I'm gonna have a Japanese time, it's gonna be Japanese time or Swedish time. And I tried to very much dedicate my mindset to wholeheartedly sucking up that language at that point, without letting the plan for the others bleed into that moment, if you know what I mean. I have a little bit more to say, but I'll pass the mic to Anna and Elmo first, and then maybe we circle back to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I was just thinking about the fact that earlier, in the very beginning, we mentioned this idea about for like language retention, about actively exposing yourself to the language that you're studying. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought as I speak. Always a good thing. But there's always the matter of so it's not
I
like
do something.
you are going.
Excuse me. I did
Well,
something. I'm sorry about this. I keep pressing the keybind. Sorry about this. I think I pressed some. It's okay now.
Did you? Okay. No. No. Yeah. So we mentioned earlier about like immersion or active use or exposing yourself to the language for the sake of retention, and that ties rather neatly into theming, in the sense where you are not going directly from studying one language into another, because well, obviously it would just, your brain needs processing time. You need to give yourself sort of the space to sort of really suck up and process the information that you've been studying. So in a sense where even as you're studying, you're quote unquote studying multiple languages at once, but it's not like, okay, 5 minutes Mandarin, 5 minutes Persian, like back to back like that. That's not what we're talking about here. Of course, I think most people know this, but I think it's important that we sort of clear up exactly what studying.
I mean, I had somebody DM me, so like a actual Studygrammer who I know studies a lot and is really good at the like her main language.
Yeah.
And she just started adding one other language to her schedule, so now she's studying two at the same time. And that's exactly what she was struggling with, because she would do one after the other. So she never had, and she didn't have any experience with studying more than one. She was an amazing language learner, and she learned Mandarin to HSK 6 for the old system, meaning the highest level that you can get at the time. Now they added more this year, but highest level before HSK. And so it's not that she didn't know how to study, but that the concept of studying multiple languages was still new to her, and that she wasn't adjusting very well. And a big part of that was that she was going back and forth between languages.
Yeah, because
in like one day.
I speak a lot with these things with people, and I heard like some people do also like 1 week focusing on one language, 1 week focusing on the other, or one day one language, one day the other language, or even 1 month in one language and another month in another language. I think I'm not very big fan of long span of time without touching a language, so maybe 1 month not touching a language and then getting back to it again is kind of like too much of an inconsistency. Honestly, I would never do even the week-long thing, because I think it should be something that has to be exercised a little bit every day. I don't know, but I understand very much what you guys were saying about not doing like one right after the other. Also because like if you want to concentrate on it, if like I guess it's just like you need some time for your mind to be like to breathe, I guess. So maybe one idea could be to do something in the morning for one language, to do something in the afternoon for the other language, for example, or something like that. At least that's what came to mind at the moment.
Yeah, no, entirely, and that's part of theming too. I call that theming timeframes, which is my favorite part of theming, actually, the one that gets me to do the most stuff. But if you're really busy and you don't have more than say an hour a day to study, then I don't recommend doing half an hour. I do recommend actually doing one in that day. It depends on how busy you are. If you're not that busy and you have time, like say you have a lockdown, right? Then by all means use time framing in the same day. I think it kind of depends, because this is where defining clear goals for each language that you're learning is very important. So you cannot expect to improve at the same level in all the languages that you're studying all the time. It's setting yourself up for failure, and it's also very difficult in general just to figure out schedule-wise, you know. It's very hard to dedicate the exact same time to each one. So from the beginning, you should look at the amount of time you have and make a logical decision about how much attention you're going to give to each one and what that's going to translate for you. So for example, like Anna was saying, like some of them you don't want to leave it for an entire month. For example, if you are a lower intermediate or high beginner, you learn some things, and if you were to put down the language for a whole month or 2 weeks or something like that, you probably start back at zero, or or you forget a lot of the stuff that you were learning at that stage. So it's important to take that into account. However, if you're advanced in the language, perhaps you won't lose information in the same way that you would lose for intermediate beginner. So like for me, I can study Japanese and Korean a lot less actively and expect not to lose it in the same way. I can't go years without speaking it, that's a problem. But as far as active studying, I can gauge how much I can do or not do and still be okay, you know. So it's about kind of identifying these things as well as identifying the goals around it. So if I have a language in beginner, I know I'm going to have to dedicate a lot of time to feeling comfortable and for that language to come to fruition. So I cannot add another beginner language, or I shouldn't. I don't want to say can't, but I shouldn't add another beginner language unless I have like all my time that I can dedicate to languages and I can create something that works really well. But usually that's not the case. So maybe I could do one intermediate language that can handle being studied actively twice a week, and the beginner language, you know, like 5 days a week or more, or something like that. So, you know, so these concepts really important too.
This is sorry, Elmo-chan, you go.
Okay. Definitely, you touched on some very good points there, and I think what I wanted to say was related to goal building in a sense where, at least if you've managed to get past, so you're sort of, let's say you're upper beginner in a language and you've been studying it for some time, and you feel comfortable with your knowledge so far, and so you want to take on a second language that is completely new to you, then a good way that you can still sort of keep the sort of core of your previous language when still introducing the new one in increments is just expose yourself to it. You don't have to actively study it as much. You can devote your active study hours to the new language, which needs your full attention, and then you can use sort of more passive methods, or even using the language more sort of active usage rather than active studying for the language that you've already been doing. So sort of finding a good balance between, so you're not just sitting with your textbooks and cramming grammar all day. Like there are more areas that you need to sort of, you don't only need to balance all of your languages, you need to balance all of the sort of output, input, sort of thingy.
Methodology.
All the methodological sort of
way of learning.
The methodology.
Yes.
The methodology. Full stop. That one's
Words
the noun.
are hard.
You change it to the adjective so that you would lose the word for methodology. Maybe.
Elmo-chan.
So you see, English, guys.
English is
difficult.
hard. English is hard.
Words are hard.
Yeah.
I would never speak English ever if I didn't have to.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. You love English.
Yeah.
Not at the moment.
Now when I cannot
Yeah.
speak it. Yes. And Michelle said yes.
Right.
Michelle prefers to have an almost daily approach to my target languages. I think that's the best. I think we talked about it to exhaustion at the moment. It's exactly what we're trying to convey. And I wanted to say something because we introduced a very interesting and important theme, which is language levels. In like when you're learning a new language, it's very important that to consider what level you are in that language, because as we said already, if you have like a language that you're like level let's say B2, like upper intermediate to let's say almost native level, like that kind of levels require only like a low effort, let's say, to be maintained in a way, and like it takes a lot of strength if you want to even like get closer to a native level, of course. But if you just want to maintain it, the level of effort is going to be kind of low. But if you start studying a language from zero, of course you want to put a lot of time in make sure that you keep it exercised and you're learning consistently. And so like I was reading what Lucas said, that I started learning Russian and discovered myself a Spanish appreciator and started to learn it too. For personal experience, be wary of starting two languages at the same time from zero, because especially if they're very different, like Russian and Spanish, let's say, even if they're similar, but especially if they're kind of different like that, your methodology for studying the language, the way that you actually study, like for Russian you need to learn a new alphabet most likely, while for Spanish maybe you need to be sure that you write the accent in the right place. I don't know, like all the verb tenses, and for Russian you have more like declinations. I don't know, depends on your language that you're starting with, like depends on your native language, but this, like, it's gonna take a lot of time to figure out what is the way that works for you to study that language as well. So having to do that 2 times, like at the same time, let's say, it's gonna be very not only time consuming but also like energy consuming in my opinion. So make sure that you have time. If you only do that, it's fine, but make sure that you have the time and the strength and the motivation to do so, because otherwise you're gonna go in burnout, and I tell you through experience that happens. Yes.
I want to say that one thing that I think is an important element we haven't really mentioned yet is how much time it takes to absorb something, and how much you can learn from one thing. So this tends to be the difference between people who prefer like moving from stage to stage to stage, like Anna, and me, who would like to kind of soak in one thing and then repeat it in different, like, because it's the difference between a textbook and what you do from something random and like figuring it out like a puzzle. Now when you learn something new, just because you understand it logically doesn't mean you will absorb it to be usable. So if your goal is speaking or being able to output writing or speaking with that language, then you also have to take that into account, that moving on very quickly isn't always the goal. And when you're holding on to more than one language or trying to learn more than one language, sorry, my brain just did a Swedish thing that wasn't English, right?
English is hard.
Holding on to, hålla på, göra någonting, right? Anyway, so when you are working on doing something, more than one language at the same time, what happens also is that learning the second language at an early level, and you're also trying to soak in all of the nuance, you're also trying to soak in all of the usage of it, the different ways that you can use it, how it feels when you use it, etc. You're trying to soak that in, and then you go and you learn something that also needs all of that attention second, right? Then that kind of because it's a culture, you know, it's a culture and it's a way of speaking and a way of thinking. There's so much more to what you're learning when you learn a new grammar structure or you learn a new phrase or a new way to say something. And so whilst all of that is there, and then you're going to try and learn a whole other person, you know, a whole other perspective, a way of thinking at the same time. It's kind of like it works against each other, one, and then also it'll give you a little bit of like a case of you know, schizophrenia, because you know what I mean,
I know what you mean.
you're building two personalities at the same time. It can be quite confusing, and then it undoes both. So you then only feel comfortable with your original language personality, and both new foreign languages feel a bit foreign. You might enjoy it, which is important. So Lucas said, I studied Spanish at school, but I hated it there, so I started to like it again. Meaning, it's super important. It's great that you're enjoying studying languages. I'm not saying that you should not study multiple languages at whatever capacity you want to. Simply, what we're talking about is efficiency and what you can expect when you study multiple languages at the same time, and to what ends. Because nothing's wrong with taking it super slow and introducing yourself to multiple things right after each other, every day, not every day. That's fine if you're enjoying it. But we shouldn't hold ourselves to unrealistic expectations based on that study. You know what I mean? We have to know that this translates to that, or that translates to that, etc.
Yeah, it's the thing where it's very common for people in the community to like jump on starting a new language, and then they get frustrated after like a month because they're not getting anywhere. But it's like, who told you this was easy? Like, especially if you already know like 2 or 3 languages, like you're basically running at full capacity at all times. So you're basically trying to fill in every little crack in your sort of in your lexicon, whatever, that to really like force this language in there, when really your brain is just like, it's fine, we don't need it, please stop. But it's definitely doable, but it's going to take a lot more time because you have so many other sort of, well, like Ray mentioned, like personalities or ways of viewing the world, and now you're trying to tear everything down and build it back up again, which is a lengthy process. So I think one of the most damaging things people do is expecting things to go like on rails or be very straightforward and quote unquote simple, when really there's a lot more to it than just sitting down and going through like memorizing vocab or grammar points, etc. When it's basically a whole new range of expression and thinking. And I'm also with you on the more sort of in-depth like approach to language learning rather than the prescribed one.
I wouldn't call it in-depth, but yeah, definitely like a more feeling way, more puzzly way. And can I say that actually I met someone else. I had another student, a Russian student, who I was teaching English, and they are currently like some form of IT, tourism, I don't know, amalgamation of a career. But originally they did linguistics as a major. And but I realized that this person is completely different from me. What she loved about languages is how predictable and how many patterns and equations and there are in language. And so for her, she was very good at them. She spoke many languages, but for her, the language acquisition experience was very different from mine, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, it's all about feeling. Understanding the feeling and motivation behind why people say things, how things are conveyed, for what purpose, what origin, what influences, how that influences culture, how culture influences it. It's a lot about this. But for some people, it really is the words and the fun and the building and the logic, and that's cool too. Yeah.
It's like they approach language the way math is technically a language.
Languages are very mathematical in a lot of ways, and I'm it's just very interesting to see people on that end of the spectrum also.
Yeah, it's like I can't go there myself, so it is very interesting. It's always nice to sit on the sidelines and watch the like pro tennis players just sort of go back and forth. But
I mean,
language.
To be fair, can I say, because I learned Latin at school. Before I was fluent in English, I learned to be fluent in Latin, which is only a written language. We don't speak it, of course. No. But Latin is one of those languages that is pure math. So like everything is very, very like this or nothing else. Of course, there are exceptions, but it's very, very like... how to say, especially because it's what do you call it? It's a dead language, like nobody speaks it anymore, so it doesn't evolve. It's just dead language. It just stays as it is. So we only have texts. So that has influenced my approach to languages a lot. So I tend to analyze grammatically a lot more than probably like people that didn't study Latin do. But I think this helps me a lot when I'm trying to learn what is behind, like it's not only the expression, but like what is the logic behind expressions and grammar, so I can use it by myself, let's say, because when you crack the code, then you're able to, use the code by yourself as well, in a way. So I relate to that, but I also relate to Ray saying that it's mostly like you need to take care about the emotion, like why people say certain things at certain times, and like I tend to rely a lot on like how to say, like, oh, this sounds good, this doesn't sound good at one point. Like when I get to a point that I'm fluent in the language, I would be like, like I don't know exactly why, but I think this one is better, like saying this thing is better than saying this other thing. There surely is a reason behind it. It's not essential that you know it 100% of the time. Of course, if you're going to teach the language, you should know it. But if it's just for you to be able to communicate, why not, right? You don't have to know everything about the language all the time.
Yes.
I wanted to address something that Lucas said, though. So can I say, I want us to talk, because Lucas said there are days I have to choose at the end of the day if I go to sleep or study languages, which is this thing makes me a little bit, if there was like red flags in languages, that would be one of the red flags. Like I need definitely. To like if you need to if you need to choose if like to study language or take care of yourself and your body, let's say, if your health, maybe there's something that can be worked out a little bit better in your routine. I say this because I learned it, but that means that like there are different ways to study, especially in the days that we're most busy. It's hard to find the time to do certain tasks, but we could do certain other tasks while we live our life, like a daily life. There are some things that you can do while you cook, while you eat your food, while, I don't know, like you can listen to music while you take a shower. You can do some app study while you're eating. You can look at a TV series or something while you're cooking, like stuff like that, right? This doesn't mean that should be done every day, especially if you're a beginner in a language. That's not gonna be enough, of course, but maybe like in the days that you're most busy, concentrate on something that is more doable, like that would be better, rather than force yourself to find time to do like hard work, and then maybe next day you're exhausted and you cannot do anything because you gave everything the day before. I think like that would be the most effective way. Take care of yourself. Your health is first, and then there's language learning.
Right.
Yes, 100%. And I think I think that's the idea. It's actually interesting because I think that it depends, like how you approach the language. Going back to that a little bit, is it's beneficial for different areas. So, and also different types of languages at first. So, for example, with Mandarin, I think it's almost impossible to depend on the systematic approach to speak and understand Mandarin, because it just doesn't translate. It just does not translate whatsoever, and the words, there's no equivalent for anything. So you have to feel, why is this person saying this? What is this word? What is the existence of this word? What is the existence of the sentence? It's a very different process. And I tried to do it the analytical way when I first started learning Mandarin, and I just ended up knowing a lot of words and nothing more. And it was very difficult, and even the basic of basic words that I learned maybe the first month of learning Mandarin, I never fully understood them until years later, when I had more experience in language and more experience of feeling out the nuance and motivation behind words without an English definition. But if we talk about a language like Swedish or English, for that matter, we talk a lot about English today, they're extremely logic and rule-based language. There are a lot of exceptions, but those exceptions are also rule-based, hard to explain, and there's also lots of tiny details that you have to work into the way that you speak and you write and all of these things. So it takes a lot of textbook practice, a lot of root practice, a lot of busy work that's necessary to get you past not only the feeling of a conversational thing, but a eloquent discussion that you can that like at a different level, like the one we're having right now, would not be possible by just feeling out the nuance of the way people say certain phrases and idioms and things. It would not be possible. Definitely. It would not be possible. But I feel like Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, Asian languages, a little bit easier to do that because they don't have as much tiny details. They have more full set patterns and phrases that you can feel the emotions behind and why you should use them, and not tiny little things that get in the way of grammar first in English, kind of. Grammar first. If your grammar is very, very wrong, or super twisted, then it feels like I don't understand, like I have trouble understanding you. Right. If whether or not your emotion is good.
Basic word order and things like that.
But even just say you used the wrong preposition, it affects the way that I think. It affects the way that I think about your sentence a lot, Tanya said, I think it's easier to overwork yourself with multiple languages because you want to maintain or even improve them all. I cut out Korean for months because I felt so stressed by the fact to maintain what I learn in Korean as well as Japanese, which is my absolute main target language. And yes, this is exactly what I was saying. But it's okay if you want to study both at the same capacity, and that's fun and you're just doing it for fun. But you have to define your goals first, because it's unhealthy to expect yourself to do everything all the time and be able to improve at the same level in both languages. And I think it's actually physically impossible for most people and most casuals. So it's super important to define what you're doing with both languages when you're studying them. You want to read this one?
Oh, here's a comment from Our Impact Counts. Same with Mandarin, what really helped was rewatching the same drama like 3 times, English and Chinese subtitles, then just Chinese and so on, to get used to certain use of words. And that's a very, very, very good.
Yes.
We
that's
talk
like my
about this
thing,
a lot.
guys. That's my thing. If you
that's
because that's my thing, guys. Like if you watched my interview like back in 2016 when on Talk to Me in Korean, literally they're like, how did you learn Korean? I was like, I watched Playful Kiss 50 times. Like
Yeah.
honestly, because you get a deeper layer every
Yeah.
time. Every time you watch a show, you get a deeper layer of the feeling of a phrase, the feeling of this word. You pick up another piece that you didn't hear last time.
Yeah.
There's so much that you can do. Mandarin, I agree that it's very similar, and you have to really isolate different examples each time. And when you isolate a new example, you try to get the feeling from this example and replay it and like, why did he use this word?
Yeah, I did a
He's
lot.
angry here.
I did
Why?
that. I did that a lot for Japanese, where I would, like, have a rotation of things that I watched basically on repeat for like weeks and weeks and weeks. Obviously, and then, but another thing to keep in mind, if you eventually feel like you've mastered something, but I'll keep find another show, a different show, but that sort of deals with the same sort of situations, in the sense of, like, say it's a high school show or whatever, or it's a detective show. If you feel like that's something you're interested in learning more about, then find more shows in a similar sort of setting to give you more sort of a different perspective or more vocabulary
On similar things.
Like,
Yeah.
basically choose a topic
Yeah.
when you want to, like, learn specific vocab.
I tell you, like,
And of course, it gets easier every time.
the power of listening, like, we think there is black magic, and I think it is, but, like, I tell you, like, I have a friend that just decided to go to live in Czech Republic, and she just went there, and she never studied the language, she didn't attend any school courses, never read any grammar books, nothing, and I asked her, like, how the freak are you speaking Czech language? I don't know what it's called in English. 𝕙𝕣𝕣𝕣, like, how
Czech.
and she Czech language, and she told me, like, the first 6 months I didn't understand anything. I was just looking at people, and people would talk at me. Nobody speaks English, so I would just be like, okay, and like gestures
Great.
all the way. And then
That's
after
immersion.
6 months, she
Yeah.
said, after 6 months, I don't know what happened, something clicked in my mind, and I was able to speak all of a sudden and understand what people said. This is an extreme example, but the power of listening, my dudes.
Yeah, no, the human brain is incredible.
Yeah, and the thing is that, you know, the immersion, in addition to immersion, it's also about putting yourself in the situation to try and function like that.
Yeah.
Because in Japan, actually, I noticed a big divide between foreigners in Korea and foreigners in Japan. Many foreigners in Korea speak Korean, but many foreigners in Japan don't speak Japanese.
That's ironic.
Yeah.
That's very ironic.
Is it ironic?
Yes, because barely any Japanese people speak English, so
Oh,
it
yes.
works on both levels.
Yes, but it's like Japanese people never expect you to speak Japanese.
Yeah, that's true.
And they kind of feed the idea that Japanese is very hard and you don't need to speak Japanese, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Subconsciously. So for people who are not that language oriented or don't really care about languages that much, they fall easily into that mindset. But in Korea, people are very, very proud of Korea, extrovertedly. So, like, they expect everyone to speak Korean, even if they speak fluent English. And it's like, if you don't, like, if they have to switch into English, they're giving you the stink eye because she's English. And so, like, it's like everyone already feels like this pressure to speak Korean, and also, like, you know, they start to feel pride over that. So when I was in Korea, all of my foreigner friends, we spoke in Korean all the time, even though we all spoke English too. Nobody ever spoke English with each other. In Japan, I always spoke, even when I wanted to speak in Japanese with some of my friends, it felt weird too,
Yep.
like you were being pretentious.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, which is weird. Anyway, but point being is that this the culture around and the situations that you put yourself in, it's not just about putting yourself in immersion, but it's pushing yourself to pay attention to what's going on around you and trying to understand or trying to do something during that time.
Yeah.
So even if you don't study, if you're trying to process what's happening around you, your brain will magically absorb things and magically click things that you don't consciously understand if you're paying attention. And it's the same thing with listening to movies and TV. There are people who watch hundreds of hours of dramas and anime and don't understand anything.
Yeah,
it's mostly true. Because they're not paying attention at all, right?
Yeah.
They're completely reading the subtitles and not paying attention whatsoever, and then it's not going to improve. But if you have a pen out and you're staring at their mouths like,
yeah,
what did you say?
Cancel the subtitles. Don't look at the subtitles. Take away the subtitles and just watch people talk and do weird sounds, and then you will be forced to try to understand what they're saying.
That's a very good exercise, and I remember being super confident and like I can recite this movie line by line or whatever, and then turn off the subs and I understood like 60% of what was going on. Like, fuck.
Yo, no, that happened. No. There's a moment because your brain tricks you into thinking you understand because it uses the subtitles.
But you're not aware of reading. You're not actively reading subtitles.
Yeah, and the subtitles like replace the words in your brain, so you think you understand. It's so funny. And like for me also, when I was 16 or 17, that's when I started to learn Korean. And I, after like maybe 3 months or maybe 6 months, I don't remember exactly, it was a long time ago, guys, but I swore I was so fluent. I was like, yeah, bruh, I got this. And so anyway, one time at that time they still used to upload the episodes before the subtitles were finished. So they would upload it, and then people would start adding in the fan subs, right? Anyway, so I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna watch this new episode, I don't need the subtitles. So I turned it on and I was like, nope. I understand zero. I like probably understood 5% of what was going on. And it was really funny.
There's
Amy and Tanya.
Sorry,
I was just curious. What languages you guys are studying, because I see you asking where do you find books, where do you find all these things, but some of the stuff is language specific, so please let me know what languages are you studying so we can comment on that too. Go ahead, Anna.
Yeah, now I wanted to add this thing about subtitles, that when you get fluent to a language, like you realized about these things about subtitles when you're fluent in the language that they're speaking and also the language of the subtitles. So if it's 2 different languages and you're fluent in both, and then maybe there's gonna be like something that, like they say something and the subtitles say something that is slightly different, it's not very well translated, your brain would be like, why? And you get like that time. Yeah, exactly. Like until it's kind of the same, it's alright. Yeah, no, but when you see a subtitle and you're like, wait, but my ears say something, but my eyes see something else. Like at that point, you will understand how different, like in a way, I don't know, but it's also cool to do that, and like trying to concentrate on both of them. It's very, very, very hard. Like I watch shows in Japanese that maybe have English subtitles, and I don't do this like on purpose. Like sometimes it's just the default Netflix subtitles are in English and I forget to just take it away. I'm just listening, but there's subtitles there, so my eyes go there, right? Because if you have subtitles on, your eyes are gonna go there. And sometimes they would say something and I'm like, all right, you know. And it's a good exercise as well, I think, if you're fluent, to see how things have were translated. It depends on your goals and everything, of course, but I wouldn't recommend to do this to learn, of course. Just take away the subtitles. I hate subtitles. I didn't use them anymore, but I hate them.
It's what I really dislike a lot. Some fan subs, you know, when you're watching, like when you're using sites that have like hard-coded English subtitles or something, because you're watching something, and like you are at that level when you know, like, this is wrong. This is like, you could have translated this so much better. Like I just get annoyed. I'm like, I make
you know what pisses me off? Translations between Korean and Japanese, because the languages are so similar and there are very direct translations that they could use, like where they're saying the exact same, and then they don't do that. And I'm like,
Is it like
Why?
like they
Why?
like they have oppa in the subtitles instead of senpai or something like that?
No, but like, it's not like, I mean, it'll be a very specific, like, there's grammar structures that exactly correlates with each other in Japanese and Korean, you know? Like, this grammar structure conveys this feeling, and this one is the exact same thing. And they could have said it the exact same way, but they just don't. And I'm like, why? Why don't you do that? Why would you choose something else that means something different when you literally have the, you know, in English, at least they have the excuse that everyone can interpret this slightly different and, you know, they're not exact translations. So it's somebody's art, really, when they make a translation. Yeah. But Japanese to Korean, no damn excuse. I get so upset. I'm like, why? What is this? Because, you know, because I will put Japanese subtitles so that I don't, if I don't understand something in the Korean, then I can check the Japanese, and if I don't understand something in the Japanese, I can listen. So I tend to do that. Yeah. But yeah. All
right. We went on a tangent there, by the way, and
oh my God, yes.
There's Chrome extension for subtitles. Yeah, there's language learning with Netflix, those kind of things. I use them. As well, apparently. I use them, language learning with Netflix is the one that I have, but I use them like, what do you call it, like with a grain of salt, because sometimes it's not very correct. I don't know, like, maybe if you don't know much about the language can be, sometimes, I don't know. I use it to exercise languages that I know already, but like maybe to study when you're a beginner and rely completely on it could be kind of just know that there could be errors or something on it. I don't really know where they feed, if it's just how they translate things anyways, or like if they feed on subtitles that already exist. So like just be careful.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think like the best way that yeah, like I would say just don't use subtitles. I am pro not using subtitles, because even if you get, like, even if you use VPN, let's say, and you watch, like, let's say I use VPN for watching shows of Sweden in Swedish that are like just, they were filmed in Swedish, so everything is in Swedish. They have subtitles in Swedish. These subtitles don't match, most likely. Like the subtitles say one thing and the person is saying kind of the same things but not exactly the same thing.
So that's like closed captioning.
Yeah, so like
that can be really annoying, especially if you're like it's a language you're learning. It can be really
It used to do that a lot for Bonus Familia, and it pissed me off. But it's like because what they say is not very formal, and then they don't want to write that, because in Swedish they have like a weird thing where you just never write spoken.
Really?
Which is so annoying. Yeah, they never do it, because in English I thought it was annoying, because even when they text, so like you say something in English, if you have slang, right, you text it. When you're texting your friends, you text the slang, but in Swedish you don't. You just say it, but when you text it the real way, which is so weird. Yeah. But that's why, a big reason why the Swedish ones are also really different.
Yeah. Being a beginner in a language sometimes feels like the most boring part, because you can also you can do solely in your target language. I agree, but wait. No, I agree, because you cannot like I don't know, watch shows lightheartedly, because you need to like try to pay attention and you're not understanding most of it, so you need to struggle with that, for example, or anything similar. But can I introduce you to the joy of creating a language notebook with all your notes? I'm thinking about this because I am gonna film a video today that is gonna be published on Thursday on our YouTube channel about how to take language notes. The thing that most excites me when I'm learning a new language is creating my own notes, like writing down the things that I have to learn, and it varies from person to person, but I would just want to express my, like, that's not gonna be like, you're not gonna have the same excitement about it when you're already like fluent in a language. You're not gonna take notes in the same way. Like when you're at the beginning, you don't know numbers, you don't know animals, you don't know like any kind of vocabulary or any kind of grammar, nothing, you don't know anything. So you can just try to find a way to learn, and writing down like what you have to learn in your own notebook can be one of the choice. I'm not saying that this is the way that everybody have to do it, but for me that is so exciting. And like when I'm fluent in a language, I'm like, damn, like, you know, I cannot do that anymore. I mean, you can enjoy other things, of course, but that's what brings me to start new languages sometimes, because I want to feel that excitement. Yeah. Okay.
Aww.
So watch my video on
That's
Thursday, so you can be excited. Yeah.
100%. I actually need to refine my joy for notebooks, because I used to love that too. Like looking through my language notes used to be a big joy for me. I kind of stopped doing that. I mostly just annotate PDFs more than anything else when it comes to studying, because I'll have like a PowerPoint presentation that I can just scribble all over, or like a book or like a writing thing that I'll scribble all over and make notes. And I felt like it's kind of, because I have the whole books that explain it, why do I have to rewrite it? But there is something special about making your own notes, and also kind of redefining and making your own, because I think I never wrote notes in the way that other people wrote notes, unless it was something extremely confusing, like something that I needed very visually clear in order to understand, which happens every once in a while, but it's not usually that often. So I tend to only write like one example sentence or a word, and then like 5 of my example sentences or something like that. So anyway, point being is that I'm excited for Anna's video on Thursday as well, because I want to rekindle my excitement for notes and you know, that vibe, student vibe that I kind of lost.
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna inspire you all. I hope at least.
I'm counting on it. Anna.
Yes. Let's see what it said. I think Lucas said, yeah. Are you a fan of language notes too? I hope so. I'm just getting my acolytes. Founding a new religion, language notes religions.
Isn't that already what Studygram?
Our impact counts just said something else is reading along with audiobook, and it's only tricky to find the right level. Has it been useful for you guys? I never did this before, and I've never done this. I just needed to comment on it because I'm doing it right now. I have to read a novel. I have to finish a whole novel this month in Swedish. My first full novel read in Swedish this month, and I'm doing it with the audiobook because my listening skill is way better than my reading skill, and I get a little frustrated reading sometimes. I mean, I can read, which is okay, a little bit confusing, but I can read fine with 𝕎𝕖𝕣𝕖, like reading comprehension and articles, but a novel is another beast that frustrates me a lot. But I can, when I hear it, it's not as frustrating because I can hear the emotion behind the sentence and kind of piece things together. So I've been using, I have the library app here in Sweden, and so I downloaded both the audiobook and the ebook, and I'm working with that now. And one of our Gladly Global Polyglot members, Adia, she also loves to do this, and has mentioned a few times how useful it was for her in Korean. So just wanted to make a little comment, but I can't fully tell you the use yet because I've only just started. So maybe next month I will give you guys a little update about my audiobook and ebook endeavors.
I'm gonna have to try it out for myself, actually.
It might help. Yeah. It might help. It's for people who are not so more like audiovisual learner. Yeah. It's possible that, because this is my thought, you know.
I've never listened to entire audiobooks like that, but I think everybody has the experience of having a textbook with a CD or something, and there's like the text at the beginning of the chapter or something, and it's way easier to listen to the person reading it while going through it than just reading it on your own, especially if you're a beginner.
Yeah,
I think like the way, not only the pronunciation, of course, that's cool, doesn't have to be mentioned, but then also like the way that the sentences divide, like when you're talking, you're making some pauses sometimes, you're stressing more some words. We spoke about this before many times, but like there's things that you cannot get by just reading the letters that are written on the paper, right? It's definitely gonna be also because I don't know if it's in every language, but when I'm reading, even in my native language, I say things in a different way from when I say them like just without reading. I don't know so that's like a completely different thing, and can help you in like understanding the language better from a less how to say, like impulsive way. Like it's not somebody that is just saying things, but it's more like constructed and thought. So it's interesting, and I support it, honestly. I will try to listen to some audiobooks like that. It could be interesting in Japanese, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, Tanya, I agree with you. So I'm with you on that. That was always my qualm with like looking for like easy books to read in Japanese, because it's all hiragana, and reading books that are entirely in hiragana drive me insane.
Oh my gosh! Actually, I was explaining to one of my Czech students recently how Japanese works.
Yeah.
And they were like, "What the hell? There are no spaces." And I'm like, "Okay, yes, there are no spaces, but there are kanji, and I can't explain to you why the kanji makes a huge difference, but it does. It just your brain inputs differently in Japanese. But without the kanji, it is like hell.
Yes.
Hell for everyone, including Japanese people.
The thing that you can do, Tanya, if you know what furigana is finding books that have kanji with furigana written next to them. So you still have the kanji, but at least you know how the kanji is pronounced. So if you have to search for it, it's gonna be easier. If you just want to read through it, it's gonna be easier. So
I should just do that for all books.
No, because it's distracting as well. Like it's like if you're reading very fast, once you get fluent, if you're reading very fast, you don't need to know how to pronounce characters. You just know what it means by looking at it, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Oh, Anna and Elmo matching. Yes, we are.
Oh, yes.
We are matching.
You know, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, no, I noticed it. I just didn't mention it. Hi, Korean, by the way. What is me afraid of that? I'm afraid of that.
I'm afraid of that.
Yes.
That's part of Oriana.
How do you pronounce it correctly, Ray?
Afraid of that.
Yes.
Afraid of that.
Oof,
Yeah.
oof. Oof.
Matchy.
Yes.
Matchy.
Anyway, oh, yes, lovely. Anyway, yeah, Japanese is quite crazy when it comes to the whole having 3 scripts in the same sentence. Honestly, whenever I explain it, I realize how crazy it is.
Yeah. But
honestly,
it works.
It works, but it is very crazy.
It is.
It is. Although I must say that, like, once you pass the hump, it functions very well.
Yeah.
It's just that explaining why someone would come up with a system like this is very difficult. Because if it was me, I would have not done it.
It's all boils down to Japanese people being way too passive and not wanting
I
to.
always tell that joke.
Yeah.
But, we don't know. It's always it's preserving culture, but the idea really is that they definitely, Japanese people don't like the conflict, and so I always make the joke that they just decided to keep everything so that everyone is happy,
But that, like, I actually studied that they had, like, after the Second World War, they started like reorganizing everything and deleting kanjis and nobody used it anymore and stuff, and they had the idea of using like Romaji instead, like Roman letters, instead of katakana for foreign words, but then they were like, no, this is never gonna work, we're just not gonna do it.
No,
like,
because it would look so weird.
right?
Yeah. It's funny because in Chinese they do that, you know.
Oh yeah.
In Chinese they do that, which makes sense, I think. But definitely without katakana, it would look really weird because Japanese people use too many English words. Like
They really do, especially nowadays.
If it was like 1 or 2 words every paragraph, like in Chinese, because Chinese there's a Chinese equivalent for most words.
Yeah.
But if there's like a game name or some name or something, or maybe like something new that doesn't have a name yet, then they will use English words. So it's not like sequence, but Japanese, it's like
especially now.
several times a sentence there's an English word, you know. So
yeah, they use a lot of English words as normal thing. I don't know how to explain it, especially in the business world. They use a lot of terms, but like translating in Japanese, so they lost the original meaning. They became Japanese words like 100%, but they're English words. It's so weird. It's very weird.
Yes,
so
really
weird.
strange.
Yeah. Although I prefer it to some extent, because the thing that I hate doing the most in Chinese is learning food names. I was like, oh my god, I have to learn all of these names. Like, I have to know what orange juice is in Chinese. I have to know what this candy name is in Chinese. I have to know what Britney Spears' name is in Chinese version. I was like, wow, oh no. But you know, in Japanese, it's just orange juice.
Yeah, that saved me when I realized that, because I was always so intimidated by food words. Like when I first started studying Japanese, and it's just like, I can just speak English.
Practically. That's the thing I hate the most about Chinese. Oh my god.
Yeah. Right. Actually, I talked about this with Thomas recently, because he was telling me, wait, so why do you in Italian? Why do you have like all the names of nationalities and languages are different from English? He said to me, and I was like, well, yeah. I don't understand. Yeah, do I have to learn all of them? I'm like, I mean, if you need to use them, yes. I was like, this is such a mood, though. Like, can I say, I understand. It's a mood because of course, sorry for calling you out, Korea, but Thomas. It's alright, it's completely normal. Like, you're learning a new language, you need to learn new words, okay, for everything. But like, when it's something, it's frustrating, because you're like, oh my god, all of this again, especially when it's your 3rd, 4th, 5th language that you're learning again, all of these basic words again. It's such a mood.
Shout out to Asian languages that literally just say month 1, month 2, day 1.
I was
day
thinking
2.
about it just a moment ago.
That's the one thing. Whenever I'm like, yes, I was talking to Cody about it the other day. I was like, why is English so unnecessary? Why do we have names for everything? Why? What's the point? Day 1, day 2 works perfectly fine for me.
I hate day 1s.
Because in Chinese, Monday is just day 1, like that, and Tuesday is day 2, like this. And then in Japanese, Korean, and Chinese, months are just numbers, and it is lovely. But yeah, you know, as the same, I mean, Swedish is nice because it's similar to English with most of that stuff. So like the days of the month and the days of the week, there are some differences, but it's sounds similar to me. So I'm like, okay, brain is okay. Same thing with names for stuff.
Yeah.
Chinese now, once again, upset. Like when it comes to names of stuff, I'm just like, like even if it's something stupid like Nintendo or like somebody's name, like you have to learn the Chinese version of everybody's name. There's a
unbelievable
version. You can't just say their name. So like it's so annoying. So you have to know Beyonce's name and like Britney Spears' name in Chinese because they don't know what it is, right? Like if you don't say Chinese version, and I'm like,
that's one of the things that I never understood.
Like sanction, are those names like sanctioned by the artists themselves? Like, do they get to
They
like put the
must.
stamp of
I
approval?
hope so. They should.
Like,
They should. They
okay,
have to.
you're not gonna be called your name here. You're gonna be something else. But is it okay? It's good.
Well, at least then you know if you are like big enough, then that means for sure that you have a Chinese name, right? So that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, my
Everyone
Chinese
should have a
name
Chinese
is my
version.
name, I think, because it's the same. Anna is a name in
Yes, that's
Chinese.
right. That's correct.
I
That is
am-
correct.
Anna is a name in most languages, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Western name, but they have characters specifically that's Anna, like
Yeah.
this.
But no, wait.
So-
In Japan, they have people called Anna. Like Japanese people are called Anna sometimes
Yeah.
as well. It's
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
Mm.
It's just a name that is very, very broadly recognized, and I'm happy about it because
Nice.
Tanya says, I hate weekdays. They are so hard to remember in other languages. Honestly, for me, it's the numbers themselves. Like, I have such a hard time.
I
Not
can't
like
even
just...
count.
Yeah, like counting is one thing. Like say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order is one thing. But when you're trying to say a specific number, and you have to like compose the number, if you're not used to do it, like the only reason why I can do this in Japanese is because I worked as a sales manager in Japan, so I had to use numbers for measurements, for prices, everything, like every day, all day long. And that's the only reason why I'm good at it. But like, if you don't do that properly, you're always gonna be like, 400, like that all the time. And for me, it's like, yep, the worst part about learning languages. What is happening with 𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚? There's so many.
Yes. So I set this for my study streams, but it's on all the time. So I'm going to add more.
That's so cute.
Later.
That's so cute.
I was like laughing while you were talking, and I was like trying not to laugh because I was feeling myself when I was like, we're out of tea. But I can drop some tea if you want, you know. I was so I'm glad
this
that
is
we
so
just
creative.
ordered some tea.
Amazing.
Yes.
Oh, this is so
Yes.
good. This is oh my god.
No, but yeah, Anna, what you said about the numbers, that's totally true, and it gave me panic, like when I came to Japan, because like having to like give correct change and everything, just like
You know how they
I'm
always say how much something is, like when you buy something they always say, oh, it's gonna be 430 yen, and then you give the money and then they give you back like the what do you call it, the rest, the money
the
back
change.
Yeah, the changes,
Right.
and they will say how much the changes as well. And like
Yeah.
I used to work as a cashier as well in a restaurant, and I had to do that. I just remember everything came to me. Frick, that was so... Like, I was panicking all the time if I could say the number correctly. Oh my god.
Oh, no.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, I actually really love Japanese numbers, but I think it's because I spent forever on them, and so I feel very comfortable with them at this point. And so, like, thinking of Japanese numbers makes me very happy. Korean numbers too. Chinese numbers, it's okay. Actually, it's very simple, so it's good, but I'm not comfortable at saying them because, like, there's like sh versus sh, and like the tone, so it's a little bit just the tone is sometimes I get wrong. But I tell you, in Spanish, this was my problem. Like in high school, we would just be reading like super fluently, and then just say like the number in English, and then keep reading. We never tried.
That's such a mood.
We never tried.
That's such a mood when you're reading something and there's a number, and you read it in your native language. Does it happen to you? It's such a mood. Oh my god.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we can start wrapping up now. This was a really nice conversation. I think we dropped a lot of wisdom today, not only us but also in the comments. It was really good conversation this time, I think.
Lovely seeing everybody participate.
Yes, oh my gosh, and I'm so happy to see people use Nightbot, because I set it up for the last study session but no one tried it and I was like, damn it.
Yes, good job.
This
good
time,
job.
oh yay, so happy. See people order drinks, and I will be updating so that there's more things on the menu and more flavors of bubble tea. it'll be updated. So make sure to come back. Remember guys that this live stream is every first Saturday of the month, so our next one will be the first Saturday of May, and we have a Google Calendar now where you can subscribe or take, copy the calendar link and drop it into your Google app or your iCalendar, and so it will automatically show you when we have new events. So if you're interested in getting notifications, then go to gladlyglobal.com/events, and then you can get the link there.
I'm gonna send you the link here at the moment, right now, so you can get it.
Amazing. You guys can also you can also DM me at any point if you want to know more about our events. We have some other events this month as well, like a free language exchange party later on, which is going to be really fun. We usually play games, word games, guessing the languages, also just like playing random scribble games together, and you get to meet, and also there's other side rooms that you can go in and practice your languages if you would like. Issue 5 of the Gladly Global magazine is out, and awesome. Like I said before, the magazine is full with in-depth articles, interviews, worksheets, original art, and fun stuff, recommendations, all sorts of things. It is so beautiful. And really well put together, if I do say so myself. So if you're interested in checking it out, if you are into languages, if you're interested in learning more about how to study languages and how to manage your time, if you're invested, then you should check out the Polyglot magazine. Get the first issue just to check it out, just to look at it, and then you can consider subscribing for the rest of the year or for the rest of time. We're gonna be printing our issue 5 for the first time, and testing it out. So we are looking to expand from a digital version to a physical version in the future, which is going to be really exciting as well. But for now, it's available as a PDF download that you can put on any device or print it out so that you can read and work with the worksheets and cut out the art and paste it on the wall, because it's so pretty. Done by Natalie Onni, who is a Polish artist inspired by Korean and French prompts. She's also a polyglot. So yes, if you're interested, please do check it out. If you enjoyed the stream today, do consider supporting us on Ko-fi. The link is written on our live stream screen.
I just sent it as well.
Yes, so any donation goes a really long way and makes us really excited and makes a cool sound during the stream. So if not this week, consider it next time if you really got a lot of value out of this stream. Okay, I think that's all of the marketing mumbo jumbo I had to say. Anything you guys want to say before we end?
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
Yay!
And
subscribe button.
Be excited for my video that is coming out next week about language notes. I am so excited.
I am excited.
And if you want to join our Discord server where we have a lot of polyglots and language learners, the link is in the description as well. So make sure that you get in. Everything's free. Just you're free to speak with everybody. Join the community and get motivated. Why not? It's free.
That's also where we host all of our events. So if you want to take part in those,
You get notifications. We send you all the stuff. You can choose to get notified, or you can choose not to get notified. So, you know, it's open and free space for everyone. It's no pressure space. We share our wins. We share our problems together. It's one of the things that we're most proud of here is that we have a free community that is open and loving towards all language learners of all kinds, of all backgrounds. And I remembered something I wanted to say and now I forgot it. Oh yes, live streams. So in addition to our monthly live streams, we have a study live stream to help keep you accountable. So if you want to study consistently every week, in addition to your own study sessions, join mine or Anna's or both, preferably both, on Wednesday afternoons and Friday
afternoons.
Once again, schedules on the event page, my dears.
Yes, and all the notification on Discord if you join, so you cannot miss any. No, so you can participate with the community. Why not? Like, I think many people got many friendships as well. Like, consider also that we're in the pandemic. We cannot go around, and we want to make plans for when we're gonna be able to travel, right? Like, I have so many places, so many people that I want to meet that I met online because thanks to all this community. So yeah, consider also that. Yep. Okay, that's what I want to say. Shall we wrap it up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's call it a day.
Okay.
Mwah, mwah.
Thank you everybody for coming, my
to the
babies.
cafe.
Yes.
Abigail, have a good day. You too.
Yes.
Yeah. Abigail.
See you around. Bye.
Yeah, cool day.
Ciao, ciao, ciao,
Bye.
ciao, 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 ciao.